best place to start, with all of the abstract discussion on humanoids this week, frankly, what is it that's changed that's allowed you now to say we have a production version of a humanoid robot?
Well, we've been building robots a long time, and so we've figured a lot out about how to, A, build a reliable machine that you could mass produce. And that's what we've introduced at CES this week. We're showing our research version. It's been running, that's the 2-hour wait to get into our booth. We've been running demos all week long. But we announced our mass production version that we're beginning to build out now. And we're going to scale production with Hyundai factories so that we'll be building these in the tens of thousands by 2028.
There is always going to be the question, how real is this, right? So you and Hyundai are partners. They're a customer, but you're also working together to continually test. What is it that Atlas is going to be doing in that facility? Is it revenue generating? In other words, is this a real commercial deployment?
Absolutely. So look, our Humanoid is our third commercial deployment. We've already got 2 robots out generating revenue today. And so the commercial opportunity is real. What's special about Hyundai is that they're both a producer. They can help us mass produce. They can also be a consumer to use robots profitably in their factories. You know, they've defined their own software-defined factory initiative, and robots are going to be a part of that initiative to make their factories more flexible and productive.
The brain of Atlas, at least in the inference context, is NVIDIA. But a lot of this work you've done yourself on the software side in particular. Where would you say Boston Dynamics' core competency is, and how Atlas reflects that core competency?
We've always been the whole body coordinated motion first, right? We basically introduced robots like humanoids that could really, in an agile and coordinated way, move around in the world. And so our core competency is in sort of the motion control and the low-level stuff that's in close proximity to the hardware. We're going to be teaming with Google DeepMind for the high-level cognitive functionality.
Right.
So that tasks that go over minutes or even longer will be orchestrated by Gemini Robotics. So we're going to kind of split the low-level motor control and the high-level cognitive control.
How you train Atlas in the first instance, particularly in the industrial use case, is fascinating. There is a great emphasis on virtual worlds, digital twins. I think the reality is, you know, teleoperation plays a role here, but how complex is it to get the humanoid robot to interact in a factory facility, taking into account the actual physics that's being applied to it in that environment?
Well, this is where AI has really provided a breakthrough. We can use simulation tools to coordinate the low-level motion of the robot, so reinforcement learning. We use teleoperation. If you can teleoperate a robot to do a task in a factory, you can pretty much get an autonomous policy doing that task. So we've already demonstrated that multiple times. What we need to do now is generalize that so that in a day or two you can train a whole new task. Because ultimately, humanoids are going to need to do hundreds of tasks in a factory.
So therein lies the question, like right now, what is the problem we're solving for? Literally labor shortages, which Jensen Huang's been talking about all week, or productivity, efficiency gains? You know, what is it that you're selling with your products?
Well, the high-level goal is to onshore manufacturing that requires enhancements in labor productivity, and I think robotics have a strong role to play in that context. You know, demographics are uniform the world across. We're seeing declining populations. It's difficult for manufacturers to get the talent that they want. So the robotics are going to take the dull, dirty, dangerous parts of the jobs. The humans are still going to do the high-level, cognitive, high-value tasks.
The Google DeepMind relationship, it's a research relationship, but Hyundai has the potential to grow to something commercial at scale, right? I think that's kind of your vision.
Yeah.
We're talking a few hundred units at first, but would you just kind of outline a roadmap, a timeline of how you see scaling?
So the relationship with Google DeepMind is both a research relationship, but also a commercial relationship. So our plan is we're going to build 200-300 of these robots. We're going to use them to collect data in factories at Hyundai, also at Google DeepMind facilities, also at our facilities at Boston Dynamics. Together we'll develop the technology and then we'll commercialize them together. And the first application, again starting at Hyundai, will be to deploy robots in factories doing part sequencing and eventually final assembly. We will also work with some other customers along the way. in logistics or other manufacturing
I
applications.
guess my question is, we're talking a couple of hundred this year, maybe a few more hundred next year, thousands the following year. Like, what's the pathway?
So by 2028, Hyundai's going to build us a purpose-built factory designed for mass manufacture of our humanoids. And that's going to have a capacity of between 10 and 30,000 units per year. And so that's the goal. By 2030, we'll be building tens of thousands of robots per year.
I've always wanted to ask you, and I'm going to ask you, your analysis and impressions of Tesla's Optimus program and your assessment of what they're doing and what they've done.
Well, I think they're a very serious competitor. They've done a lot of very impressive work. They also have the advantages we have, that they have a consumer in Tesla to use those robots
Internally.
Yeah, and I think it really requires both aspects. You need the technology from robotics and AI. You also need that customer and that consumer. And so automotive is a natural fit. And so I think Tesla is actually very well placed to succeed here as well.
There's a different vision of the world, and all those people that are waiting 2 hours to see Atlas might have that vision where a humanoid robot's in their home, childcare, elderly care, manual tasks. Is that something that you are working toward as well, Robert?
Absolutely. We're starting in manufacturing because we think that's the right place for the cost point, safety, and the capabilities of the robot. But as we mass produce these, we're going to drive the cost out. We're going to increase capabilities because now we're going to have tons of data to train these robots on, and they will enter the home. And I'd say 5 to 10 years before they're in the home. The next 5 years, it'll be focusing on manufacturing.